One of my earlier videos showed you how to make, or not how to make, how I made a stop motion animation video. And I was thinking, how can I have you guys make an easy stop motion animation? And it got me thinking about some of the materials you might have at home and trying to come up with something that you could do. So what I came up with is a flip book. Now, a flip book is like the old-fashioned way to make a stop motion animation. The way it works is you draw the pictures, and each time you draw a picture, you make a slight change to the drawing. So I'm going to show you how to do a flip book, how to make a flip book, and show you how to make this all work. So let's get started in making our very own flip books. I've gathered together my materials for making my flip book, and I've decided to make it quite tiny because I think it's easier to flip, to make the pages flip when you make it tiny like this. And that's probably the trickiest part, is to make sure that your pages are even on the edge when you put it all together. So let's get started getting our materials together and going ahead and beginning. So here I have like 18 to 20 pieces of paper that I cut. I cut these to 2 inches by 4.5 inches. I just picked that shape, that size, because it folds down nicely into this little tiny book. So I'm going to be folding each one of these papers in half. Now, the most tricky thing about folding these is making sure that you have your edges and corners together like that, and really giving it a nice crease. So I'm going to do that for each one of these pages. I'm going to fold it in half, making sure my edges and corners are nice and together. I like to hold it there and then pull it across and make my crease when I fold. That's an easy way to make sure your corners and edges are together. I just kind of poke them together, hold it, wipe it down toward the crease, and then fold. So I'm going to go ahead and do that for all of these pages, and then I'll show you how we're going to put them all together. I finished folding all of my pages, and so now I have them, and I'm ready to try to put them all together. Now, because there are so many of these pages, they're much too thick to try to staple together. It's not going to work. My staple's not going to go all the way through and close and capture all of these pieces of paper together. So instead, I've come up with a way to put them all together to hold them. And I'm going to use some of these brass fasteners to do that. Now, that's just the only thing a little bit tricky about using the brass fasteners is I want to make sure that I have a hole started in my pages before I stick these through, because again, they're much too thick. I can't just poke a hole with this and I might hurt myself, so I don't want to do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure, and I'm going to take one page, and I'm going to go ahead and take my ruler, and I'm going to measure. So here I am at the edge. This is where the crease is, and I'm going to put the edge of the ruler right where the crease is. So I'm on the first line right by the 0, and I'm going to measure in, I think about 1/4 inch. And I'm going to make a little tiny mark. Then I'm going to move my ruler up, line up the fold with that line right there by the 0, and then again I'm going to make my mark. I want to make sure that that's even. I want to make sure that when I draw a line that goes across this way, that it is a straight line, that it has the same amount of space from the fold to that line, same amount of space from the fold to the line. So I've gone ahead and I've attached that. Now I also want to make like a little cross line. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to measure from the top, or it could be the bottom. I haven't really decided yet. I'm going to do about 1/4 inch right there, And I'm going to make sure that it meets that line. And then over here, it's just easier if I flip it. Line it up. And again, I'm going to make it meet my 1/4 of an inch. I'm going to make that mark. So now that I've made those marks, I'm going to make like a little plus sign right where those 2 lines meet. So right there and right there. That's where I'm going to use my hole punch, and I'm going to line it up to pop out a hole right where those little X lines are. So now this, you might not be able to see it very well, but I'm going to line up where the hole punch hits, and it's going to hit right where that plus sign is, like that. And I'm going to do the same thing here. Now, the trickiest part is lining it up. Now, my holes are all in place. That will allow my brass fastener to go all the way through. But I have to do that for all of these pages. Oh my goodness. Do I need to measure each time? No, I don't. I can measure 1, and then look at this. I can take this 1 and I can start kind of putting it inside like that. Take my pencil, make sure that your edges are all lined up, and then I can just mark where those circles are like that, and then I can punch those holes. One thing I forgot to tell you about the paper is I'm using drawing paper because it's a little bit thicker than copy paper. Copy paper, or paper that you have in your printer, it's a little bit thin to make a flip book because it just doesn't quite have enough weight, enough thickness to make sure that the pages will flip as you go through. So you do want to have a little bit thicker paper, not too thick, not too thin. It's that Goldilocks thing. So I'm using drawing paper from a sketchbook that I took out and cut down. So let me go ahead and finish marking these, popping out the holes, and then we'll start putting it together. So now I'm done popping all my little holes in each one of my pages. So now I'm going to line them up, and I'm going to start taking my brass fastener and sticking them right through the holes like that. And I'm going to just keep adding each one of my pages like this. So keep piling them up, stacking them right together. Right there it goes. All right, so I'm going to keep stacking all my little pages, holes through the brass fasteners like this. And you're going to notice that, I don't know about you, but I am not a machine. I did not cut these pages, and my holes are not perfect. So we're going to need to do some cleaning up on the edge here, and I'll show you how to do that because it's really important that these edges be even in the end so that the pages flip easily. But I'm going to go ahead and keep stacking this together, and then we'll talk about cleaning up these edges to make sure that they're even. I have all my pages through the holes now, and I have the back side facing up of my brass fasteners, and now I'm going to bend back these little tabs right here so that they are nice and tight, holding my pages together. This looks like it needs to be a little tighter here, like that. And I'm just going to kind of bend it ever so slightly so it doesn't stick off the outside edge. I'm going to bend this one over. Whew! Bend it. So now it's not sticking off the edges. Now I have to deal with these edges, because see how it doesn't flip very smoothly because these are all uneven. No big deal. I'm going to use my scissors, and I'm going to start kind of trimming a little bit at a time. Now I don't want it to get too like ragged and uneven because it's starting to do that, but I'm just going to kind of hold them nice and tightly together. I have a nice sharp pair of scissors. Sometimes I like to take just a portion of the book at a time, and I can see the pages that are really sticking out that are longer, and I can give those a snip as I go. Let's see, here's another section. Let me just check to see how that's doing. Anybody had any at-home haircuts? Haha, I gave Mr. Holloway an at-home haircut. I have scissors coming tomorrow. Woo, I can't wait. Anyway, here we go. Look, oh, these pages. Let me get those a little trim. I'm just going to finish my trimming up, and then we're going to add a cover. I'm going to add a cover. You do not have to add a cover, but I just thought it would be kind of fun to add a cover to it. Plus, it's going to cover up the brass fasteners, and that way, just so you don't poke yourself when you're flipping through it. So that's another reason why I'm going to add a cover to my flip book. So let me just finish my trimming, and then we'll add a cover. So I finished trimming my edges, and they are flipping really nicely as I go through it. Now, I did take a little bit of a chunk off this part here, but that's okay. As long as it flips nicely, that's what we're really going for. And it does. It's flipping through my pages really well as I go through. So now I'm going to add my cover, and I've cut myself another piece of paper. So now I'm going to try to line it up and just wrap it around. So I'm going to go ahead and bend that around. I have a little bit of a spine, like a book has a spine, and I'm just going to kind of flatten out that spine a little bit. Now that I have that spot where that spine needs to be, I'm going to go and kind of make my creases a little bit stronger, a little bit more in place. So I'm going to go ahead and take it off the book, and I'm going to kind of crease those in place. So I have this flat spine here. So see that? Now it looks like a folder, and I'm going to stick that right in. And now I'm going to glue that in place. Now those brass fasteners do stick up a little bit, and they kind of get in my way, but I'm going to go ahead and just flatten that down best I can. So I have a glue stick here, and I'm going to put a little bit of glue on both sides. So I'm going to put a little bit of glue on my first page, like that, going around my fasteners. And then I'm going to put a little bit of glue on my cover too, like that. Now, I'm going to bring that over, stick it down. Now, it's not going to really stay very well yet. It's okay. I'm going to show you how we can make it stick even better. I'm going to flip it over, and I'm going to do the exact same thing on the other side. I'm going to take my glue stick, put glue on both sides, and then I'm going to fold it over again and really get that book back into the spine. Kind of get it pieced in there. Get that spine up against everything. And remember, I said that those little brass tacks, they're going to kind of be in your way a little bit, but that's okay. Just kind of really push it down. Get that spine in place. And now, because I'm having trouble making sure that it's sticking really well, I'm going to take some clothespins. And this makes it a little bit easier. I don't have to sit here and hold on to it for a long, long time. So I'm just going to take some clothespins and pinch them. And this will clamp it all together until that glue dries really well. And I'm sure that it's stuck. So I'm going to just let that dry, and then I'll come back and take a look and make sure that everything's attached.